And it's quite the opposite for Ronnie. 2 matches played, 2 matches lost. So a little bit for Ronnie O'Sullivan to find here. I believe he's got a new tip on his cue from the first match, and certainly looked a little out of touch in his previous game against Kyron Wilson.
I think I'm with you. It seems to be a new tip because he's struggling with it a little bit.
Ronnie doesn't look comfortable with that tip.
Yeah, all the players are aware that Ronnie's had a bit of work done on his tip. Can't be much fun, though, for Ronnie O'Sullivan having to play with a brand new tip on his cue, playing players such as Kyron Wilson, Mark Selby, Ali Carter, Chris Waitlin. Not going to be much fun this afternoon for Ronnie O'Sullivan if he's struggling with his tip.
One thing I will say, though, is that it's not the first time we've seen this from Ronnie, where he's chopped and changed a tip mid-tournament, and probably is one of the best players, if not the best player, to deal with those changes very quickly. He's very able to adapt fast to new tips and conditions, but he certainly looks to be struggling with this one. Once again, he's left a half chance for Ronnie, but not the sort of red you want to have to pot to get yourself in when you're struggling with your tip. Well, that shot there from Ronnie, it's just a classic when you're using a tip that you're not used to or you don't like.
And it's because you're just not used to the tip, and maybe you don't like the tip that's on your cue. That's even worse. But can you imagine just how much confidence you will lose in your game when you can miss a pot by that far? Because perhaps the tip that's been put on your cue is not one that you like.
I suppose the only consolation for Ronnie is that if he can find a quick fix for that tip soon, he had a couple of chances similar to this against Kyron Wilson, and an unexpected mistake just crept in at times, and to me that is just lack of feel from the tip.
Doesn't sound particularly soft, the tip, which is good. On these conditions, a soft tip can be tricky to play with.
So the miscue from Mark proved to be very costly. And there was an anxious look at his tip upon the miscue. I hope it's all right.
Yes, we'll find out. Sometimes when you play a backspin shot, especially if you have a small tip on your cue, you can chip the side of it very easily and render it useless. This has been an excellent performance from Ronnie because he looked very out of form at the beginning of the frame. He was like this against Chris Waitlin, and in 15 minutes it was 2-all. So good performance in the end from Ronnie O'Sullivan. Mark Selby miscuing. He's having a look at his tip. Welcome back. That's the tip. Well, I was going to say of Mark Selby, but I think that's Ronnie's cue. It's a brand new tip put on by our tournament director, Paul Collier, who often puts tips on or does remedial work on professional players' tips during tournaments. Yeah, I'm trying to work out, Stephen, whether I feel that Ronnie will keep this tip on for the Masters, and well, there are encouraging signs, I think.
I'm very fortunate myself, Dom, and I don't know about you. I never really change my tip all that often. I'm very lucky to have a very good cue maker very close by to where I live, and he knows exactly how I like the tip. He puts it on, and no joke, it probably lasts me 2 to 2.5 years, my tip. I remember as a junior using the Elk Masters, I was chopping and changing all the time, and it used to take me days to get used to tips, and very grateful now that I found a consistent one. As soon as it goes on, it plays as if it's already bedded in, and it's as if I haven't even changed the tip.
Yeah, I've spoken to a lot of players about the town chalk that most players use these days, and the general consensus amongst the players that tips are lasting longer with it as well. I've had the tip on my cue now well over a year, and it still hasn't firmed up really. It's still fairly on the soft side. that's pretty obvious, I suppose, when you consider that you have a new tip on your cue to strike the object ball from distance exactly where you want to. It's no easy thing. If you know
7.
the way the tip is playing, you'd never make a mistake like the one that Ron has just made. Tried to run through about a foot and ran through 6 inches.
20.
Just one more word on Ronnie's tip. Judging from the mistakes that he's making, the tip just needs to firm up a little. If it was a little firmer than it is, I think he'd be able to control shots with side spin. It's important that Ronnie can try and clear the table
66.
here, because every shot that he plays will be firming up that tip a little more. I find it amazing, you know, how much ball reaction that Mark Selby gets when he's close in like that. I mean, the shot that he's just played there, a lot of players would struggle with, because the tip size of Mark Selby's cue is
20.
barely 9mm, maybe 9.2mm, where the average, I suppose, on the tour is probably 9.5, 9.6 mils. So it's nearly half a mil smaller in tip size. See it there. So when he plays a shot with backspin, he gets a lot more action out of the cue ball than most.